So hello and welcome on this really energetic day because we had a G4 to a G5 geomagnetic storm. And today's live stream is going to be quick because I'm not feeling that well. I have a little bit of a fever. And so we're just going to roll through the data. Unlikely to do a question and answer just because I needed rest. I've already rested all day and I have enough energy to do this. It is a wild day. So I hope all of you are feeling better than I am at this moment in time. I know a lot of you have seen amazing aurora photos, and the reason why is because of this solar storm that was pushed out right there, and that has finally impacted, and it was a significant impact. Actually, multiple solar storms sandwiched together. And the crazy thing about all this is that we had Comet Shu-Chin-Shan sweep directly in front of the Earth, in between the Earth and the Sun at this moment in time. And so Shu-Chin-Shan Atlas will be appearing in the evening sky in just a couple days. I mean, really probably tomorrow. If you look right after sunset, you may see it, especially if you have the equipment. But what a crazy coincidence that we have this beautiful comet sweep by right in front of us as we have these solar storms impact, and that they are stronger than expected. They did put out a G4 plus forecast, but if we look at our data, we'll see that we actually went all the way to values of 10 if we use the HB60 index. I hope I don't have to cough on this stream. But look at this. This is an electromagnetic pulse. That's the best way to describe it. It actually shows up a little better on the solar wind monitor. So let me go there really quick. Just so you can really get a sense. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say electromagnetic pulse, because look here. We had totally calm, quiet conditions, and then immediately we went up in terms of our magnetic field volatility to 7.67. Remember, some of that is blended with these low field values. And then we ramped all the way up to, at a high, was that 8.67. Thank you, one of a mine, for the super chat. God bless. And so you see here, this spike there, this is the first solar storm right there. And this was triggering G3, G4 conditions. And so you'll notice that, for example, the total field strength of the interplanetary magnetic field, 29, negative 19, that's a big storm. That's why it's a G4. And then we had this phase right here. Look at that. 46 nanotesla. It's like 40, 44, 46 nanotesla, negative 44 for the southward component. That's how you get a G5 storm, folks. There are a lot of factors at play. I'm going to break down some of the factors I think that contributed excuse me, to this G5 storm, because once you kind of understand these things, you can put it all together pretty nicely. And we are still in this second, more powerful solar storm, which is that one that I showed you right as the comet was sweeping by. And so a lot of people reported on the East Coast, because it was now just evening when that occurred. A lot of people reported aurora from Ohio, Pennsylvania, Alabama, Texas. We have our real-time aurora gallery here by spaceweather.com. They do a great job at compiling a whole bunch of different photos from people. I'm sure a lot of you have your own photos. I'm very jealous that you all got to see it. I called up my aunt in Pennsylvania. She went out, she saw some red glow and some kind of watermelon-like colors. That's cool. She was very happy that, you know, I reminded her, me being the space weather guy, it's hard for me not to. But tons of aurora seen across Europe, seen across the United States, and we don't know if this storm is going to continue in terms of, if we go back here, like we see here how there's multiple solar storms, right? We don't know if we're going to get another one. I don't think we will, but let's go to our 7-day view so you can see what I'm talking about. And that is, where are you? Here's our 10-day plot for our HB, or for our KP index. And you see that actually we just came out of a geomagnetic storm, and a long duration one too. And so you see here, we've only been in this for about 12 hours. This guy was very long, and you can count those up. Each is 3 hours. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, right? That's 18 hours. No, 27 hours before all of a sudden this storm here raise everything up. Thank you, Robert, for the super thanks. God bless. Hope you're all doing well. A little better than me. Barely hanging on. Yeah, I feel the same way. When these energies come in, if you have certain susceptibilities, it can be really, really quite a lot. So we are just at the beginning of this, and that's why this is, I titled it an electromagnetic pulse, and I actually heard that word and had that idea from Tamitha Skov, who's like, the professional space weather person, right? I'm a geophysicist, but I don't have the credentials, if that matters to you, that she does. And that's what this is, though. Like, it very much resonated when I read that, because you have this massive push of energy coming in, and that is what an electromagnetic pulse is. And when they did nuclear testing, where they detonated these nukes back in, I think, the 60s, right around that time frame, when they did that and they detonated them in the ionosphere and up kind of like low Earth orbit, it created aurora. So you had these artificially induced nuclear reaction aurora. And so these are very similar processes in some way. At the end of the day, it's really just energy coming in. So we got through the EMP pulse, you could say. No power grids dropped as far as I know. Nothing critical went down. Everything's fine. But this is one reason why this was so strong. It's because Earth's magnetic field was already perturbed. It was already shook up. And so, I mean, it did start to have this cool off period, but it's not like this was a week ago. So, well, as I talked about 3-4 months ago, longtime viewers will know, I said back in August, September, more like August, even July, that we have some storms coming in the rest of 2024. And that's exactly what's happened. We have had a sequence of really powerful geomagnetic storms. And so if you watch all the time, you're a regular viewer, then you'll really be like on track and aware of what is happening on our planet. And I utilize more than just looking at space weather data. I also look at different astronomical events and different energies that exist, like 1010, the 1010 portal, right? And when these things all converge together, that's a very good sign that you have something significant. And lo and behold, G5 storm on 1010. And that's what I was talking about. And so we see that. Let's go back to our Nowcast 30. Look at these values right there. 10.667. So the KP index is capped at 9, but the HB30 and HB60 indices are not. And so we see that 10.667. And if we go to our 10-day plot, we'll actually see a value of 10.667 also for our 1 hour index. That is way above 9. And so it hit those G5 plus levels if you look at a more narrow time frame. So see a lot of people laughing and having fun in the chat. Let us go also now to one other reason why I think this storm is so strong. And that is our proton flux. And this is fundamentally because we had that solar storm push. It accelerated all these ions. It's not just protons, but here we're just measuring protons. It accelerated all of them in front of the coronal mass ejection. That's the shock. And then you see here it spiked right before it arrived and then started to go down. Well, all these flow into the polar cusp regions and they all charge the ionosphere. And so a geomagnetic storm is where you have these magnetic field fluctuations. And at the surface, most of those fluctuations are not because the magnetic field out in space is reverberating. That is happening. But most of the field fluctuations on the surface are created by these induced electric currents in the ionosphere, the uppermost part of our atmosphere. And so you have this massive charging of the ionosphere, and therefore it's able to have and host much stronger electric currents, and then you get that shock to come in. And in this instance, right after a G3 geomagnetic storm, no wonder you're going to have a G5 geomagnetic storm. If we want to look at the astronomical events, I've discussed this before, but I'll just very quickly rehash. Jupiter stationing retrograde is stationed on the 9th. Today, first quarter moon, waxing, growing, increasing the energies. And then in 2 days, we have Pluto stationing direct. And so we'll see how that impacts things too. We are still, rolling through that because it's only 10:10 right now. That's 10:12. And so that is likely to, I think, be significant in many ways. Thank you, Gloria, for the super thanks. Super thanks. So here, let us look at our DST index because this is another measure of geomagnetic field strength. volatility and what's happening. And so here is our G3 storm. What we're measuring here is the ring current. Equatorial ring current flows around the Earth, and it's made up of these particles. And when it strengthens, it reduces Earth's magnetic field in that equatorial zone. And so look at how fast that drop is. I mean, this G3 storm, you see I kind of took some time to basically touch like negative 150 nanotesla. We went straight down to about negative 330 right there. And they just recalculated the values just about an hour ago. Is showing negative 370, but they've adjusted that a little bit, negative 330. Now the great G5 storm that we had in May, that went down to about negative 420. And so that was definitely a bigger storm, but this didn't have as many solar storms combined together. That storm that we had in May was like so many different solar storms stacked together. That's why it was so epic. This one had multiple storms stacked together, but it was different dynamics at play. Thank you, Robert Johnson, for the super thanks. God bless. And so the other thing too, I mean, I already mentioned it, but I mentioned it again here with this comet sweeping right by in front. There's no reason why a comet should, like no reason why with traditional science that a comet should affect these things like solar flares on the sun, but it's great timing. I mean, it's just absolutely perfect timing how it appears here. We got those two coronal mass ejections, one coronal mass ejection, one plasma filament launch. Then as it got closer, we get this other one right there, and now it's finally sweeping by. And so people will be able to see Comet Shu-Chin-Shan in the evening sky starting pretty soon. We can actually even go to Stellarium. Let me type in Stellarium and pull that up for you guys. It should pull up on the main screen. Yeah, there we go. So I hope you're all feeling well and that you're being invigorated by these energies. I know a lot of you saw some really amazing aurora. If you'd like to send me some of those photos, just message me on Instagram at Stefan Burns Official. See that right there. And then I can perhaps post some of those in my next video update on this storm. Maybe tomorrow, depends on how I feel. So here's Stellarium, and we can turn on a few things. I don't use this too often. It's kind of bugging out right now, but okay. Let's put just a little, put on our constellations, our labels. We'll put on our ecliptic grid. Yeah. And then we also want our time, which is right here. Okay. And so we can go back a few hours and let's find our sun. Maybe, where's our sun? Our good old sun. There's our moon. There is our sun. And we'll zoom forward. There is sunset. It's in the sign of Virgo right now, true sky position. And it goes down, and here we see Venus. Oh, and I want to put on night sky, because I don't want the atmosphere. There we go. And actually, let's turn off this grid. We don't need it. We should see Comet Shu-Chin-Shan. Maybe I have to go forward. It's right next to the sun right now. There it is. So rising over my shoulder there. This is just, software that's plotting all the different positions. So there is Comet Shu-Chin-Shan. We go back 1 hour. We see our sun, and we see that it's very close to it. Let me get that in line there for you. There's our sun. There's the comet. Try Discord so we can all share the photos. Yeah, I need to find a better way, but there's so many things that you can create nowadays. Your head will explode. People want me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord. Like, it's a little wild, but I appreciate the suggestion. So let's go forward now to the 11th, the 12th. Let's go to the 14th, okay? Let's zoom out. You see now that the comet's moved further away from the sun. It is on this highly inclined orbit. It's sweeping up above the ecliptic plane. If we go forward a couple hours, now we see this comet showing up really nicely here during sunset. After the sun goes down, great viewing conditions. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the tail of this comet. It's going to flip because of its new direction, but also these coronal mass ejections hit that comet just like they hit us. They hit it before. So you don't really know. The one thing that's going to throw it off is that we also have the moon that's going to be a full moon on the 17th. And so there will be quite a bit of light as a result of that. But yes, we have this comet coming in, and this story is still developing. Like, we've seen some crazy stuff already in terms of timing with the comet in this solar storm, but we could see some more wild stuff. So let me exit out of this. I guess I need to go here. And then I want to make sure there's, we can look at some of our magnetic field swings, because that is also what we're measuring with the geomagnetic storm. So we can go to Uppsala, Sweden. This is intermagnet.com. This is where you can check all these magnetic field values. Sorry. And we have our normal diurnal variations of Earth's magnetic field here. I could probably make this 3 days, so it looks a little better for you. Yeah. But then all of a sudden we see this G5 storm, and you just see how it puts everything else and compresses it down to effectively nothing. Because these magnetic field swings here are about 1,000 across top and bottom. It's going from 51,000 here all the way to 52,200 nanotesla. This is Uppsala, Sweden. So huge swings. Even places like Tucson. Let's look at Tucson really quick. I was looking at earlier. Not as significant because it's Tucson. Margarita Diaz, thank you so much. Yeah, I could really use the big healing. I appreciate it. You are awesome. You're a big supporter of the channel. Love that. Thank you. Blessings. But we see here Tucson, we're hanging out at 46,500 nanotesla here. We get this strengthening right before it comes in, and then we get this drop all the way to 46,350, even at the bottom, lower than that, about 300. So that is like a 200 nanotesla swing in Earth's magnetic field out of Tucson, which is quite remarkable. The normal diurnal variations are only like 30, 40 nanotesla, if that. But yeah, I mean, this is quite significant, and so that explains why we've been seeing the aurora borealis, and very likely people in the southern hemisphere, or australis, down so far south for the northern hemisphere and so far north for the southern hemisphere. So remember, these are northern lights. If you're watching this and you want to see this yourself, it's the west coast, the sun just set. Let's go back to our real-time solar wind, just to put this in perspective for you. This is still a very strong solar storm. It's not over yet. Look at this. We still have field values, like right there, 34, negative 30. So right now is perfect viewing conditions. If you have clear skies and you're kind of farther up north, or you have good cameras, or like long exposure photos, clean skies, all that stuff, you probably will at least see red glow. And yeah, we don't know when this is going to end, but East Coast is already seeing a lot. They're going to continue seeing a lot. People like in Ireland and Scotland, right? They're seeing amazing aurora. Iceland, all the northern countries, Northern Europe. You got to mention prom PhD Albert Seinfeld on a show. Cool. All right. Well, so this is still ongoing now. It is not too late to see the storm. Ignore what that says up there, because that's a temporary measure. And so we are still very much in the thick of this. And again, there's a 1 hour time delay here, about 1 hour. So it looks like we're actually just starting to go down again, just a little bit, but starting to strengthen once more. So we'll see how long that lasts. But this is just at the beginning, perhaps, of this geostorm, because we saw that last G3 that lasted like nearly 3 days, and we are just about 12 hours in. So happy to report on that for you fairly fast, even though I'm not feeling the best. And I just hope that you're all feeling better than I am. So again, the reason why it's so strong, because we had this massive charging of the ionosphere. We had some very interesting solar storm dynamics. I mean, again, just looking at this, we just see that's just an epic solar storm push right there. And so that's what it takes. But it's not one size fits all. I just want to clarify. There's some, I don't know if it's bad education or what, or maybe people just like to keep things simple, but the severity of a geomagnetic storm from a solar storm impact is not directly correlated to the strength of the flare. You have the strength of the flare, the X-class rating, M-class rating, whatever, but also you have the duration of the flare, you have the alignment of it, you have the polarity of the magnetic field, you have things like this S3 proton radiation storm charging the ionosphere first, you have the fact that we just got out of a G3, so you need to be able to read all the different signs to make accurate forecasts, and that's why I go into all this for you. So my videos are often just a little bit longer, right? But they are in-depth, and I teach you how to do this yourself. And it's really great. It's awesome. I mean, I should have known this was going to happen. But now I see people who are, subscribed to this channel who are doing this work themselves. Some of them are posting on Soul Tribe, the Telegram chat that we have, which you can sign up for by becoming a Soul Tribe member. It's like $2 a month. Other people are posting this in the comments, but there are a lot of people who are really good at this now. And I can't be the only one, I can't take all the credit for that. But definitely I've seen how the bar has been raised and people in general are becoming much better at analyzing this stuff, even though it's not at all their job. It's just a hobby. So that is awesome. It's great. I'm going to continue to be here to help you along with this and just to keep us up to date on what's happening in our solar system, in our energy sector, you could say, because yeah, things are wild right now. So hope you're all doing well. I will likely be back on tomorrow. Depends on how I feel. This is what I really recommend. I have a 75-minute lecture on how solar activity and EMFs affect our bioelectricity and therefore our health and our wellness. And I put it on earlier and watched it myself while I was doing a little bit of work for the business, packaging up tea and things of this nature. And it is really good. Like it goes, if you watch that, after 75 minutes, you will walk away with such a better understanding of everything. And so that's linked in the video description. You'll see that it says solar activity will be like this for 2 more years, the bioelectric effects. So if you want something to watch and you really want to learn this stuff and you want to learn about how it affects us, our bioelectricity, our health and our wellness, and that lecture is the one for you. And yeah, I was happy to make that. I'm going to be releasing that to the public soon, but right now it's an unlisted video. You can check that out if you click that link. So again, if you have any amazing aurora photos, then you can send them to me on Instagram at Stefan Burns Official. But in general, happy aurora chasing and hunting. And these energies that come in from the sun and how the earth processes them and formats them, they, are directly interacting with us down to like the atomic level. And so this is definitely a big push, the biggest push that we've had since May with that great G5 storm as it relates to the ascension process and the spiritual awakening process, the consciousness evolution journey process. So I hope that you are using these energies, that you are earthing and grounding even during these storms. It's still much better to be earthing and grounding during a geostorm than it is to not be. You'll feel better and you will directly connect to those energies and receive them, but Earth still has a very, benefic, neutral potential. And so you'll reduce the positive charge in your body, feet on grass. I have the earthing shoes too. I've talked about those. There's a lot of ways to do earthing. Go swimming in the ocean. So yes, you'll see me all soon. I hope to feel better tomorrow. We'll see. It's kind of a surprise, little fever thing, but without going into the details, overall, I'm fine. I'm here on the live stream. And so I just hope that you're fine too. So yes, love and light, God bless, and I'll see you all in the next one. And thank you, Sahurian, for these super thanks. That is awesome.